Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Cocktails at the Tangiers. After a long hiatus, this is the first one in 2025. And as usual, Nick Ippolito, the host whisperer, has been busy. Nick, you just got back from the Philippines.
Cocktails at the Tangiers.
There it is.
It's cocktails at the Tangiers. We're going to write that. We're going to get that. That's going to be on the next one. I keep promising you that, but I never do it. Doing good, buddy. It's good to be back with you. It's not good to be back in America, but it's good to be back home and good to be talking to you. I blew you off a couple of times, so I apologize for that, but just busy, man.
I know. I get texts from Nick. It's like, hey, dude, I got this great idea. We got to talk about it. Perfect. Let's do it in 2 weeks. And then 2 weeks rolls around. It's like, oh, bro, I'm sorry. I'm in the Philippines.
Yeah.
Like, okay. So you just got back from the Philippines. Everybody that follows you on LinkedIn saw all these amazing photos of you with about 300 people behind you taking photos. And
biggest classes I've had to date. Yeah.
So I'm dying to know. I mean, the place looked amazing from the photos and videos you sent. I want to hear from a lot of different perspectives on how it's different in a big, beautiful casino resort in the Philippines versus here in the U.S. So, let's start at the property level. What were some similarities? What was differences? Then we could get into the player development side.
Yeah. So first of all, it's called Solaire Resort. There's two of them. There's one in Entertainment City and one, I'm going to butcher the names, but one in Entertainment City and one in Quezon City. So they are absolutely probably the most stunning properties I've been to so far. Sorry, everyone, but they are. They absolutely rival Las Vegas. They're just gorgeous properties, very clean, customer service blows American customer service out of the water. And then what you have is, first of all, you're in Asia, right? So you have the whole Asian market, which is, comparatively so much different than here locally in America, especially Vegas, Atlantic City, whatever you want to talk about. Completely different to what I do, which is the Indian casinos, right? The Native American casinos. So the property was gorgeous. The food was phenomenal. The people were just, Filipinos are so gracious and just family orientated and caring and loving. And, so that's why I think their customer service was so great. But they also treated me like an absolute king. There's 4 or 5 guys there from America. 2 are actually, one's from Australia. One's from the other guy, the table guys is Brit. You just don't want to come back. It's just a different level. It's just a different refinement. There's a different cultural, there's a different respect. That Americans just don't have for each other, and we don't have for the land, we don't have for our jobs, for ourselves. We just don't have that refinement and that respect for ourselves, let alone when we go to work and we do that. So TK, Cyrus, Tyler, I can't thank them enough. I'm praying I go back. There is talk of going back. I'm going to set up a call-a-palooza, and we're going to do a big call thing. There's Again, we're talking about Asia, so the Philippines is all local, and Philippines gamble. We know that, right? It's a big market, so imagine them local, imagine them high frequency, right? And then you have the next level. You have the Chinese, the Korean, Singapore, Cantonese, Vietnamese, right? So now you have this big demographic, this big segment of Asian. So the play was huge, millions and millions and millions of dollars, big, huge play. And salon after salon after salon after private salon and a private salon and a private room and a private salon with a private room and a private room and a private salon. Just everything you need.
So, because I think that's something that a lot of people in the United States can't picture, right? Because here, you may have a high limit area, right?
Yeah.
But there, the private rooms, private salons they're different, right? So maybe you can explain kind of the layout.
They're almost like separate entities, separate casinos, separate buildings, separate, right? They're just separate. And, a formal feel is very VIP feel, right? Mostly it's just seclusion and and VIP. There's also the benefits of limits are changing and limits are different and discounts are there and things of those nature, right? Other deals and other amenities. Yeah, I noticed that in Asia, in the Philippines at Solaire, spare no expense, right? When you, I mean, when you walk in the regular front door, the retail front door, there's two beautiful, beautiful women, and not dressed American. They're dressed elegantly, right? They're dressed, in dresses and formal wear, but they're beautiful and they're tall and they welcome you to the casino. Now in America, it'd be like, how much are we spending on that? That's a waste of money. Right. So just that alone, that you know what I'm saying? So when you walk in, it hits you right there, dude. You've been everywhere, right? Besides Walmart greeters, right? You've been everywhere where you don't have that, right? Introduction, that welcome, that first step. And then when you go up to the salons and the private salons and the high limit rooms, there are more of them, right? There's more access to them and your own server and your own bill changer and your own cocktail, your own coffee spot, your own couch, your own food, your own, very, very, you know what else? Park Vancouver is a mini version of that, right? They have almost the same style. I think we talked about it when I came back from Vancouver. Maybe we didn't, but they're like a mini version of being out in Asia. So you have this whole element. And just I don't know if I posted videos of the casino floor and the entryway and the hallways and the shops. Just a gorgeous, clean, beautiful atmosphere. And then you have that high limit element. As far as hosts and as far as players, nothing's different. A lot of people text me and said, how is it different? It's not. It's not. I mean, a player is a player. The gambler is a culture all their own. You got to take out the Asian. You got to take out I'm the president of a bank. You got to take out I'm a car mechanic. You got to take out I'm a father of three, and you got to put them in that bubble that they are gamblers, right? And that's what I teach in my sales and I teach in my approaches and my phone calls. And that's why I'm successful at it, because I don't treat that guy like he's Korean. I don't treat that guy like he's the president of a bank. I don't treat that guy like he's the father of three. I treat him like he's a gambler. And that's how they want to be treated when they're in your world. That's your world. Now, if I go to his bank where he's the president, you wouldn't even recognize me. You'd be filming me going, look at Ippolito. Like, I'd be like, yes, sir. Yes, right? I'm a totally different person. But now you're in my world. And that's how we sell. So that was the same. I think there were over 100 hosts. And you saw that, there was more than 300 in each class. I had so many people in the classes. They invited food and beverage. They invited hostesses, food and beverage hostesses, food and beverage directors, nightclub people. They invited table games. They invited slots, rewards, and it was an amazing, amazing thing to do. And they worked me like a dog. I spoke a lot, and then I trained, and we made phone calls. But the second we made phone calls, they all said the same to me. First and foremost, Philippines are so nice that any aggressive approach scare, right? They run to the beaches, right? They run to the hills, right? So that was the first thing. They were like, "Oh my God, who is this guy?" Right? But the young girls that we worked with they were just call center, not even near host, right? They did better than the host, right? Because they had no bad habits, they had no agenda, they had no thoughts in their mind like, what if I bother this guy? What if this guy, right? So they did what I taught, and it worked. People were calling right back, texting right back, calling right back, right? And then the host team went really well too. We made phone calls, we booked. And my challenge is always Korean and Chinese, always. Because aggressiveness doesn't work in that culture. You have to think of a way to drive that business, no matter what culture you're in, right? So we did it. We had big successes. We had called in actives. We called people. We had people calling us back that have never called us back. We had people who had us blocked. So when we called, went right to voicemail, they unblocked us, right? While I said, I walked the young lady through the text messaging and he unblocked us, and he wanted to talk to us. So it was a great experience overall. That was the first. The first casino is a little older, not much, but a little older than the new one, obviously. And it's in like a tropical beach setting. It looks like Florida, Fort Lauderdale, right? And then you move to the city one, which looks like South Philly or New York, right? And that one's brand new, and that one's in the city, in the heart of the city. So yeah, it was great experience, uh, uh, and I can't be more appreciative of it.
Now, is the level of players getting hosted? I mean, if they're investing in, beautiful greeters greeting everybody, were they hosting a much bigger proportion of players because
They have, well, their database. You couldn't, I do how many hosts you need by your database, right? So if I go to Idaho or I go to Kansas or I go to Oklahoma, the first thing I do is pull their database and I sort it by theoretical and ADT, right? And what do you want to host? I ask them. You want to host 300 ADT? You want to host 600 ADT? Whatever there's no right or wrong answer. Whatever they want, they get. And then we divide it up, and that's how many hosts we need. So, the database in the Philippines is huge. You couldn't, they already have 200 hosts, right? So I mean, how you gonna afford any more? But again, money's not the. I mean, it's not like they're making money, billions and billions of dollars. In my opinion, too many levels of hosting, right? Not just there, everywhere I go, right? We really clouded up this. It's one of the things I'm working on in 2025. But there was a lot of different titles and a lot of different levels of hosts. There was the maintenance piece, of course, the floor host, the maintenance, the ones that work the desk, the ones that work the high limit room, and then there was the sales, then there was the sales managers, then there was the Korean sales, then there was the Chinese sales. There was all different levels. But they don't do USD. So when I think I said, you know, what do you like to be hosted? What, and they said 120,000 ADT. And I went, holy cow, but that's pesos. That's pesos, right? So, we did everything. I had Tyler and I even changed my seminar a little bit to pesos, and we got rid of the USD. So that was 5,000 pesos an hour, we were looking at, so things like that were a little different, but yeah, a lot of levels, a lot of different reports. Yeah.
Now, I've heard in Macau, they have these different salons, but what's interesting is that they're each run by like junkets, different junkets, and they're
same in the Philippines. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a casino within a casino where it's actually operated by a different company that's then
very
responsible
odd.
for collection.
Very odd, Craig. Very, very odd. I still don't have my hands in my head around. I ask questions every day. It's odd for us. But yeah, they have that too. They have that as well.
Because I would love to do a deep dive on that because I've heard bits and pieces. Because basically, I know in Macau,
you probably don't want to. You probably don't.
Well, I'm not going to interview them. I don't want the Yakuza on my back or whatever.
You said it. I didn't say it. You said it, Bubba.
Yeah, because in Nevada, if you don't repay a gambling debt, it's a felony, right? The state will enforce a gambling. Whereas in Macau, it's illegal to enforce gambling debt. So they use these junkets that enforce their own gambling debts, and they'll go and use whatever means necessary to collect. And so that's why it's like the Venetian Macau may have Sun City junket reps that are kind of operating this high-end gambling business, and then Venetian gets a cut of it, or however it works. So don't sue me, Venetian, but
just be careful, Craig.
So anyway, that's super interesting. So you went out, used the same Host Whisperer playbook that works in the US. You found
I don't think I changed the stitch. Yep.
And so what were they doing before? Because you mentioned they're like, oh, you want me to say that? Like, did you
same as us, maintenance, waiting for the phone to ring.
Got it. Okay.
Everybody's waiting for that phone to ring.
Interesting. Okay, so it's just, hey, show me your list. Let's make some calls. And you're like, not aggressive enough. Say this.
And it's not aggressive at all, and a lot of people, even in my testimonials, I have posts say, man, it's great. My numbers have changed and I've grown my business because of Nick's aggressive. And I always text them. I go, don't say that. Right. Listen, aggressive is you come to this casino or I'll bang your head against the Cadillac of my car. Right. That's aggressive. These are just tactics and it's the way to sell, And I got a brand new piece in my seminar. So I'm going to go out again in America. People who've had me before are having me come out again because I have new stuff. And I have a new way of approaching this ideal that it's aggressive. It's not aggressive. I've been posting some stuff on LinkedIn too about, communication and how well you communicate and how well you tell a story. That's sales. That's truly, especially in our sales. And when I say that sales, I follow sales podcasts and I follow daily sales on LinkedIn, and we got it. We're not even sales. Like they would, if they knew what we did, they would probably say they'd sue us for using the word sales, right? We're barely sales, right? Barely.
Well, you mentioned at the top that you just felt like the customer service at the Solaire Resorts was just next level.
Yeah.
What is something that you think, like, if you were to identify one or two things that they just did really well, that if casinos in the US, like, if you guys just do this, like, your customer is going to feel way better, way more special?
Yeah. Well, it's never going to happen in the US because it's just the generations and what's coming up and how they're being raised, and they're being raised by social media and digital, and they're being raised coming off COVID. They're being raised that work from home. They're being they understand that if they don't work, the government will send them checks, right? So those days it's over for America. It's over. It's never going to happen until we rely on it, right? So when you go to Morocco, when you go to the Caribbean, when I'm on my way to Punta Cana, by the way, Hard Rock Punta Cana, when you go to Philippines, you understand that you do this or the client doesn't come anymore, right? So it's an essential part. It's just the way they were raised. You go to work. My father had it. My father used to say he'd rather you skip school than call out sick of your job. And I would say, what are you, crazy? And he's like, listen, school's on you, right? No one relies on your education but you. You don't get an education, nobody gives a crap. But that business, right, that company is relying on you to show up. So he said, I'd rather you call out school or just quit the job, and leave them alone, let them run their business, right? Great lesson for me, great lesson. So the difference is what I teach in my customer service. Just show up, man. Just get out of bed, positive attitude, happy to be alive, happy to have a job, happy to be making any money at all, right? And in those 8 hours, just perform. That's all it is, Greg. In 8 hours, perform. After 8 hours, you want to be miserable, you want to be depressed, you want to worry about the cops and your teacher and your school and your boss and your girlfriend and your bill. Worry about it all you want. Watch the stupid shows on TV and YouTube and TikTok. Do it all you want. Go down your little depression rabbit hole, right? But for 8 hours, be the best gosh darn dishwasher that the world has ever seen. Be the best gosh darn reward center clerk that the world has ever seen. 8 hours. That's it. Just show up, act, entertain, be happy, have empathy, be in the game. They're in the game. You got to be too. People show up. Look, they see our billboards, they see our TV commercials, our ads, everyone's smiling, happy, and the burger looks so great. And you get there and none of it. Not one thing. The dealers aren't smiling. The security guard isn't smiling. The burger's this big. I mean, it's just, we're not in it, man.
So if I were to take the inverse of that, in the Philippines, they're smiling, they're high energy. When you walk up, they're engaged, they're talking to you, they're making you feel like the star of the show.
Yep. Do yourself a favor, do the company a favor, and do the patron a favor. Just quit. Go. And I say, I'm living proof. I quit. I hated politics. I hated corporate life. I quit, and I'm a success. I work for myself. It's the American dream. Quit. Don't be miserable every day. Go. You're not doing anybody any favors, right?
So key lessons.
And the money, too. I see that in the Philippines anyway. Morocco, too, was, again, we skimp on the most important thing. We skimp on customer service. We skimp on the most important thing. We cut payroll, we cut this, we cut greeters, we cut this, all for payroll. They put the money where it's truly needed in customer service.
Love that. So the big lessons, takeaways, one from the sales side, doesn't matter, because you may hear it, oh, that may work in Vegas, but doesn't work in Idaho. It doesn't work.
I hear that all the time.
Like, hey, listen, it works in the Philippines, selling to Koreans, so it's going to work in Idaho.
Right. First of all, I haven't worked in Vegas in 15 years, so I don't know what anybody's even talking about. I built this whole training on my travels throughout the United States and the world, right? It has nothing. I don't even work in Vegas. I don't even train in Vegas.
So the tactics are universal. These tactics are going to work. And then two, from a service side, it's really the basics, right? It's being focused, being present in the moment, smile, enjoy what you're doing, and your customers are going to feel special.
Correct.
I love
Go
it.
that extra mile. What's your wow? You know, I teach what's your wow, what's your presentation, and what's your consistency. You stick to those three things, man. And you got great little you're an entrepreneur of customer service, you know?
That's a good way to put it. And like you mentioned, I mean, there's maybe less and less competition at being exceptional at customer service. So if you listening right now, just take this to heart, what Nick said, and shine, you're going to be recognized. You're going to stand out. You're going to get promoted, right? You're going to be a leader quicker than you know.
Right. Well, I've been encouraging companies. Funny you say that, because I've been encouraging companies, again, to spend the money where they should. And are we celebrating good customer service? Are we celebrating the employee? Are we incentivizing? I mean, they got incentives for new signups. They got incentives for I worked 5 days without calling out sick. They got incentives for all this other stupid stuff that we incentivize employees on what their job should be. I'm just being a normal human, a happy human being, right? But how come we're not incentivizing or celebrating the people we find with good customer service? Are we incentivizing? Are we monetizing that? Are we celebrating that? Leaders, listen to that for a minute.
Yeah, and I saw one casino that did it really well. It's a casino that is a competitor of one of our close partners. So I won't shout them out.
Too bad, because I love to celebrate when they're doing it right.
Yeah, no, great property. But they would do, if an employee got mentioned in TripAdvisor or Facebook, any review where they called out an individual, they got $50 or something like that.
Whatever, who cares? Yeah.
Yeah, something like that, where they were really focused on, hey, make that wow moment.
Yeah.
Such a wow moment where the customer made a point to remember your name and post about you, then you're getting celebrated. And I thought that was just a really smart way to do it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and my last takeaway is, okay, I'm moving to Japan. If you've not been to Japan, you need to go. It is surreal, dude. It's surreal.
And the dollar is pretty strong right now, right?
Who cares? It is surreal. The most respectful, refined, cultured people I've ever seen in my existence on this planet. There, I've said it.
He said it. You heard it here first. Well, I do want to go, but I just got back from Brazil. I went down there, and it is such a treat going somewhere.
Yeah, I saw your pictures. Yeah,
where the dollar is strong, because hey, let's go to the nicest restaurant. I'm buying it for our family and my wife's family, and I get the bill, and it's like 8 people at the best restaurant in town. It's like $120 with wine, with all this stuff. Yeah, and it's just incredible. It's fun traveling out of the country when you've got a strong dollar. How was it in Tokyo?
So Philippines was like that. Tokyo. So I was in Kyoto. I was in Tokyo. I was in Kabujo. Everyone said that to me before I left, but I bought a pair of shoes. They were still $340, like same thing they would have been here, right? So I didn't see that as much as I saw like a $50 cab was only $6. So that I saw in those areas. You know what I mean? My hotel was expensive. My food was I had $180 food one night by myself. I mean, I didn't see it in that respect, but the services, especially the cabs, the trains, the buses, the services, and the smaller stuff, the smaller retail stuff. I don't think the yen's any cheaper but I think the stuff is priced cheaper. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Yeah, the taxi wouldn't even take tips. They don't even take tips. They refuse to take tips, and they were cleaner than any limousine, any SUV that's ever picked me up in a casino. Taxi cabs. The taxi drivers wear suits and ties, masks, and white gloves.
Wow.
In a taxi. And they were like $6 to go anywhere. It's a surreal land, man. It's a surreal island. It's a surreal country.
And how do you get, like, are there enough people that speak English, or how did
it was 50-50, but English wasn't that bad. But even if they didn't speak English, This little old lady, she had to be 87 years old. She saw that I was lost, clearly lost. She came off her train to help me, to try and help me. She barely spoke, 87 years old. She was about 4'8", and she saw that I didn't ask for help. She saw that I was in distress and she helped me, If they don't speak any English at all, they just kind of swing you away politely, like they can't help you at all, But most of them have, like, one train station, the guy came over to help me. He saw that I was distressed. He was a worker, and they're all in uniforms and matching uniforms and pressed and cleaned. We don't have that in America. We don't clean ourselves in America, but pressed and cleaned. Even the public toilets were bidets. The public toilets were, I can't even go on and on about Japan, dude. It was like a dream. I think I was hallucinated. I don't think I ever got off the plane. I think they drugged me and I never got off the plane. But I forgot what I was saying. But anyway, yeah.
Well, I think that's a perfect way to wrap up cocktails, this international version of cocktails at the Tangiers.
Yeah. And speaking of international, I'm on my way to Punta Cana.
Hey, I love Punta Cana. I'm a big fan of the team over there.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, hey, next time, I know we got some topics we're going to get to about lists, coding, calls.
Yeah, let's get on that next. Yeah, that's a big issue. Maybe I'll shower and put a nice shirt on for that.
All right, my friend. Well, hey, great catching up. And glad the trip to the Philippines is such a success.
Wonderful. Can't wait to go back.
All right. Thanks, Nick.
Thanks, pal. See you soon.
See you soon.